What's up YouTube, and welcome back to another Procreate tutorial where today I'm going to show you how you can create this metal zebra design. I'm going to say zebra because that's how we say it here in the UK. But yes, this metal effect. Now towards the latter stages of this tutorial, I will show you multiple things that you can do because you can do this effect with almost any photo that you want to choose. You could do it with a person, you could do it with the example image that I provided, which of course is linked in the description down below. But you will need to go ahead and make adjustments based off the photograph you use. And to be crystal clear, not every photograph will work. If it's got terrible lighting or doesn't have very good contrast, it won't work. The example that I've used today, of course, is this zebra because it's got really excellent contrast, of course, between its white and black parts. So grab all the requirements as always using the link in the description down below. That takes you over to my Patreon. That is also where I post 3 exclusive tutorials every single month to my Patreon supporters. So make sure to check out that exclusive catalog of content. And with all that said, enjoy today's tutorial and let's get started. So let's go ahead and go through the requirements. First of all, of course, you're going to need a canvas size, mine is 2000 by 2000 as always. And if we take a look at our palette, I've only got 3 very basic. We've got a grey tone and then black and white. That's all we need. You can see where it is in position there. You can download this palette as well, of course, as I've already mentioned. Then of course, we're going to need the image. Now, the best thing you can do here, just to make sure you get a good quality image, is tap on free download. And then from there, it will give you the option to save it and you can tap on save. You can pick where you want to save it, files or drive if you've got those types of options. And then at the bottom here in Chrome anyway, it shows open in and you can tap on open in. And then scrolling down, just save it to your files and a location that you know of. Then in Procreate, just go ahead and go to the actions, go to the option of add and insert a file. So tap on insert file. Once you've found the location, just tap on that way you just make sure you get the actual full file. Also, the author of the photograph also gets a download as well. If you tap on any one of these nodes in the top right and you make sure uniform is selected, you can change this to 44, 32, and then that will change it to the size that I'm going to use. It's going to scale it right up and we can position our zebra or zebra, depending on how you want to say it, into position roughly around about there. Looks pretty good. I could probably move it down just a smidge and then tap on my cursor when I'm done. From there, we want to go ahead and make some adjustments. Now we're going to go to our adjustments, hue, saturation and brightness, and we're going to bring the saturation down to 0. So none. Then tap on your adjustments again, go to curves. Now, if you're going to use a different photograph, you are going to have to change where you put these points. What we need to do is we just need to bring the black level all the way up to halfway, and we want to bring the highlights again to the halfway point. Don't go past the blacks, otherwise you go this way. You want to go to here so that everything still looks as it should. Now, of course, depending on what photograph you use, you will need to find different points. My advice is that you go to these different points, such as here. This is only a third of the way in, or a quarter actually. You see what it looks like, and then just move things across. All you want is your black there and your white just slightly up and to the right of it. You may find a better position throughout the photograph of your choice to actually go ahead and do this. Now, halfway for us pretty much works as we expected. It looks exactly how I've done it in my pre-practices. And of course, you can go all the way up to this end as well, which you're going to bring in a lot more black to your image. So we're going to go halfway or just slightly below, and then we get our zebra. So you can see that there, and tap on your adjustments when you're done. I'm just trying to preempt some questions potentially that you may have in the future if you're going to use a different photograph. If you use an image that has multiple colors in it, such as a pet, you are going to have to work out what is best for you. Ultimately, you just need to be left with your dark shades only, and then you can work out then the rest of the photograph. That's ideally what we're trying to replicate here. So if we go ahead then and tap on this layer, we bring its opacity down. Let's bring it down to something quite low, maybe around about 25%. I'm going to go ahead and create a new layer in front of it. I'm going to go to my colors and grab the top left of the palette. And then I'm going to go to my brush, and you want a brush that's going to be nice and fluid to use and sharp. For me, that is the Studio Pen under inking. If we tap on the Studio Pen, we go to stabilization. You can see I've got a maximum amount of streamline there and a pretty high amount of stabilization as well, and hit done. That way, things are going to be nice and smooth. The size I've got set to is 19%. And all you need to do now is just draw in these beautiful lines. This is pressure sensitive as well. So you can start off really light, press really firm, and then let that line run in. You do not need to marry up exactly 100% to the photograph. Now, of course, if you're doing a photograph of a pet of yours, for example, then you will want to probably try and replicate it as much as possible. But If your zebra or zebra has slightly different lining, that's perfectly fine. So this is just a matter of just kind of tracing in those lines and seeing what we can marry up. Now, while I've got you, if you're interested in even more tutorials from me, I do post 3 every single month over on my Patreon to my Patreon supporters. You can get access to now a catalogue of over 140 exclusive Patreon exclusive tutorials, that is, and you get access to every single one of them when you join at selected tiers, or you can just get access now to the latest one. You can save yourself some pennies as well while you're at it. So take a look at the different options. There's so many tutorials that I've created over there. They're some of the best work I've actually done using Procreate. It's a great app, and it's been amazing to build up such an awesome catalog of content for everybody. I'm just going to carry on now along here. That should be the only plug I've got for you. There shouldn't be anything else I need to let you know of. Of course, please consider subscribing though, because I know over like 50%, it's even more than that, of people that watch this channel are not subscribed. So you'd be helping me out a bunch if you could. You can see here, I'm just dropping in the color now into these areas, and then we're just going to make our way through all of here. And this studio pen makes it so nice and easy, especially with the amount of streamline effects we've got in here. It makes it such a breeze. And the only thing we have to sort of bear in mind is when we get up to here, where in the photograph here is sort of a hair. So you can just replicate some fake hair there and then just bring that down. So it's a bit like a mohawk on the back almost. But always refer back to your photograph if you need to, just to see any additional details you may have missed. Keep bringing this down here. So this stage here, I would sometimes skip ahead. I'm not going to do it on this occasion because there's little bits here and there that we just want to make sure we get right. And I just want to keep making sure that we're on the same page. So let's go down here, and you can also simplify at certain points as well. Like if you want to, you can connect 2 lines together if you feel like it's necessary, just to again simplify the overall line work. We're just trying to create some really simple shapes and lining that alludes to what this animal is. Of course, a zebra. I'm going to keep saying zebra because that's how it's meant to be said. No, I'm not trying to wind you up, I promise. Let's go down here into there, and then we'll go down this line here and up into here. So this is one of my more kind of, I'd say a little bit more of a simple style tutorial. We don't have to draw too much and be too particular with our drawings. We can keep this one nice and fun. There's always a nice balance I like to try and strike with my tutorials. Some of them are a little bit more intense with the drawing, and some of them a little bit more easy, and show you the kind of effects, etc., that you can create using Procreate. It's such a good program for just creating so many things that you may have already seen in other apps, such as like Photoshop. You can do it in here as well. It's absolutely awesome. Notice how in the eye, I'm just going to go around that little bit of highlight there, just to give the eye a little bit of shine. When we zoom all the way out, it should look like this. And we're getting pretty close now, because after you do the face in this one, it's actually a lot more simple to do the rest of the line work down the body, because they're just quite large shapes and we just have to fill them in. And you can see I'm using the pressure sensitivity. A lot of the time as well, you might not even realize this, but a lot of the time when I do these types of tutorials, they're just exercises and sort of helping you replicate the sort of skills that you need in Procreate repetitively. Balancing pressure sensitivity, for example, here with this particular brush, we want to go ahead and be able to easily and comfortably say, yeah, I can put a little bit more pressure onto the screen there because I need to thicken out the line. And it's just practicing over and over again the simple things you can do that just help build up your comfort with Procreate. And then they also transfer into other apps as well. Let's go ahead and go along there. A little bit more there. And again, I can simplify if I want to. I could just connect those together. I could potentially even just connect and block them in. I need to somewhat go around this object here. Now, the only thing to bear in mind is here we have actually got some hair that comes through in front of the ear, and it actually comes up here as well around into the ear. So I just made a really large shape there, and I'll drag and drop the color in, and that allows that kind of Mohican to make its way up and in between the ear. The only other thing I'm going to do is just outline the top of the ear. I'm going to put down a few little lines in the ear, and then perhaps we could go ahead and just create like a little bit of a line there, and then your brain will fill in the rest, basically. Let's go down here, up there, and then again, some nice little sort of patch in the ear, up and around. Just drag and drop the color in. Again, I'm going to go around the top of the ear and follow this line, followed by a little bit more of that little mohican there in behind. Drag and drop the color in if it wants to fill it in. Lovely. And as I mentioned, we then get into this more simple sort of phase, which is the rest of the body. So all these are just long flowy lines up into that little bit there of hair on the back. We'll go along again, little bit of hair. So we're very nearly there with the line work stage of this, and then we can get into all the different effects. You can also use color. You don't have to use this gray tone if you want to do this again with another animal of choice. Now, of course, I picked a zebra because it has really distinctive markings. So when we do this, we've got something quite simple in a way to replicate and give off the impression of. Now, don't want to overcomplicate it with something else, but you could definitely do this with a giraffe, for example. I'm just dragging and dropping the color now into those final little spaces. I'm just going to do a very quick check here just to make sure I've not missed anything. And it looks as if we're good to go. So we've got all of our line work. At this stage, then, you want to turn off your photograph underneath, and you can see all of your shapes, and it should still look, of course, like a zebra, which is perfect. So from there, we can go ahead and start adding in some effects. You can delete your photograph if you want to. You can swipe it to the left and delete it. You can then go ahead and add in a background texture. So we'll create a new layer and drag it underneath our zebra. We'll go to our brush. We're going to go down. We're going to go into industrial, and the concrete block is my choice. I've maxed out the brush size. All I want to do is give the screen like a very light coat of the texture. Now, to be honest with you, I may end up turning this down anyway. Probably do it straight off the bat. I just want a little bit of texture back there. So I'm going to put 50% on mine. My pressure was super light. So just see the difference there. Let's then work on the outline effects for the metal. So we're going to go ahead and swipe this to the left and duplicate it. The bottom one out of the two, we're going to tap on it and alpha lock it. We're going to triple check our color is set to white. So we're going to grab white on the third color on that top row. Then go back to your layer, then tap on it and fill it. Now what you want to go ahead and do is change, first of all, the blend mode from normal to the option of vivid light. Grab your cursor, and then you want to tap over here. So every time you tap, you move it a pixel. So wherever your light source is coming from, I always imagine top left. It's always really nice and pleasing to me. I can tap 1, 2, 3, 4, and then tap on my cursor when I'm done. And if I zoom in, all of these lines now have a little bit of a white edge to it. For example, if I just change my background color for you, that makes it even more apparent. That gives you that more 3D effect straight off the bat, gives you that kind of chamfered edge to it. And then I'm going to change my background color back to white. We then want to go ahead and do the shadowed side. So I'm going to go back to the zebra at the top, swipe it to the left and duplicate it. I'm going to go ahead and drag it underneath the white highlight. I'm going to tap on it and I'm going to alpha lock it again. Go back to my colors and grab black at the second color in that palette, and then tap on it and fill it. Tap on it and alpha lock it. We alpha lock it before filling it because that locks it to whatever we've already drawn on that layer. If I fill a layer without alpha locking, if I tap on it and fill, it just fills the whole layer. You need to lock down what's already on there, fill in only those edges. Then you want to grab your cursor. We did 4 times with the white highlights, and now in the bottom right area, we go 1, 2, 3, 4. Tap on your cursor when you're done, and now you should be able to zoom in, and you should just about be able to see this white edge and this dark edge, which gives us a nice 3D kind of effect to those edges. We set the white layer to vivid light, and it's a bit you can't really see it at the current stage, but in some of these areas, it will actually go ahead and sacrifice itself for the dark tone underneath, so it should work out perfectly with its highlights. Let's then move into the next stage, which is going to be adding some texture. We're going to go to our top layer here and create a new layer and tap on it and clipping mask it. Go to your color, let's just change it to white. Let's go back to our brush. I'm going to use materials and the tawny brush, but you could use something else that has a bit more of a metallic look to it. You could go into industrial and use heavy metal, for example, but to be honest with you, it looks a little bit heavy for me. So I'm going to use the tawny brush. I've got the opacity set to 64%. Size is nice and large, around about 42. And you want to give it a nice light but full coat. So you're going to go over the whole thing like so. And then you should end up with a little bit of texture running through there. What you then want to go ahead and do is go to the layer, tap on it and change it to the blend mode of add. We then want to swipe it to the left and duplicate it. The bottom one out the two, tap on it and invert it. So now it's flipped it from white to black and changed the blend mode from add back up to normal. And then just like we did before, if you go to your cursor, you should be able to tap a few times in the bottom right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then tap on your cursor when you're done. And then all of these textures now have a drop shadow effect to them, which makes it look even more kind of 3D, like it's been sort of a little bit scraped. Now we may actually go ahead and go back to our highlight layer at the top here, grab your eraser and tap on it and use the option of airbrushing and the soft brush. Set your size nice and large, around about 40% now. I'm going to very lightly just take away a little bit of that and leave more of my shine up here. So down here we end up with a little bit of a darker material. I'm going to blend that across again, leaving a bit more of a highlight on that kind of top left edge there. And you can mess around with that. You can go ahead and if any stage, if you need to bring back this whole layer, just swipe the dark one to the left and duplicate it and tap on it and invert it back. Make sure you change the blend mode to add. Final stage now is to add in some shadows. Go to the main layer here for our zebra, swipe it to the left and duplicate it. Grab the bottom one out of the two and drag it all the way to the bottom. Tap on it. We want to go ahead and alpha lock it. We're going to go to our colors and grab black. We're going to go back to our layer, tap on it and fill it. Then tap on it and turn off the alpha lock. You want to go ahead then and grab your adjustments. You want to go to motion blur. And we want to kind of drag down in a sort of diagonal fashion, top left to bottom right. And I think we only need to do a small amount to get us started. We need like a little bit of a base shadow. So I'm going to go down to around about 23% in that angle and then grab my cursor. Once you've done it, you want to move it until there's not really any shadow anymore on the left edge. All your shadow is recessed over here on the right. Then we'll go ahead and go to that layer again and swipe that to the left and duplicate it. The bottom one out the two. Go to your adjustments again and go to motion blur and repeat it once again, but drag those shadows out until they're a little bit longer. Then grab your cursor and move them down again until there's not really any shadow on that top left edge. You should end up with this much needed drag effect in all of your line work. Then tap on your cursor. You probably want to go back to the layer, tap on it and bring its opacity down so that those drag lines are not quite as high in terms of opacity. I like them to be a little bit softer, but it's totally up to you. I think something around about 50 to 60% looks pretty good. You end up with a nice drag. And that's it. That's your effect. You can do this with lots of different things. You can also, of course, change the colors. So for example, this is the layer that everything's clipped to. If you want to, you could just go to your wheel up here. We could start off with a red and you could drag it into a space, for example. You could then grab the orange tone and just keep making your way further down. You know, I know these colors are a little bit oversaturated, but it's just for demonstration purposes to show you that you could create something a little bit different. You don't have to stick to what I've done necessarily. And obviously this may help if you decide to do it for a different animal of sort, potentially a giraffe, which has more color in it, of course. You could even go and try and find yourself a nice gold color, which once you find one, and I'll put it in the bottom left of the palette for you in case you also want it, so you'll have had it the whole time. If you tap on your layer here for your zebra and alpha lock it and then go to the option of fill, you can then fill it in like so. Another effect that you might want to do, I'm just going to undo that, is create kind of nice glowy lines across it. So you can go ahead to the very top and create a new layer and tap on it and clipping mask it. Change your blend mode from normal to the option of add. In this example with the silver, I'm going to show you with the metal, I'm going to grab white, that there. I'm going to go ahead and go to my brush and change my brush from airbrushing to the soft brush. And then from there, I just want to go ahead and create some sort of angled line. So I can go ahead and draw a line across, hold my line at the end to create a nice straight line. Then I'll vary my size and I'll create a lighter one, but again, just going across. And then maybe I could go ahead and draw like another one across here, keeping it nice and light, but making sure that the angles are nice and consistent. And you can build up like a lot of sort of shiny lining in here. It looks really effective when you have like a few lines close to each other. It really gives off that kind of metal look to it. So I'm just going to run that through like so. And you don't want to do too many, of course, but you should end up with a little something like this. Then you need to make sure you make some adjustments. You may need to go to gauge and blur and blend them out, which gives them a little bit of a softer look to it, gives it a bit more of a metal look. Then when you go ahead and change your color to the gold of your zebra, those lines should equally be there as well. And it gives you a little bit more of a shine, a little bit of a gold look to it. But, please feel free to do all sorts of different effects. You don't have to necessarily do the line work either. You don't have to do the diagonal lines. You could go ahead and, again, carrying on with what we were doing before, and I'll just triple check my layer is what it is. You could just add like a bit of a glow up here, just on this top edge, perhaps, just to show a little bit of that extra lighting on that top and where it's coming from the most and how bright it is, and it gives you a bit more contrast. I'm going to leave mine like that, a little bit of a soft glow with the soft airbrush. And in case I didn't make that clear, it's an add layer right at the very top. And another thing you may want to customize, you may not even want the background on. You may just want to have this metal look on a plain white background. You could, and again, I always love to give you the options, don't I? I love doing this. Let's create a new layer, drag it all the way to the very bottom, go to your colors, and we could just grab like the gray in the top left of the palette, set your soft airbrush to something quite nice and large, like a 40%, and give yourself a bit of a gradient down here, just a super, super light gradient on that right-hand side. And that just shows that your light source is beaming down onto this platform or this table perhaps. And then you can just show that the light, as it trickles over towards the right-hand side, fades off. So I've given you loads of different options, and I really look forward to seeing what you end up doing with this effect. Make sure to tag me in your finished creations wherever you decide to share them, like Instagram and Facebook. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for weekly Procreate tutorials. And if you want even more tutorials from me, you can come and join me over on Patreon, because that's where I post 3 exclusive tutorials every single month to my Patreon supporters, to a catalogue of over 140 exclusive tutorials at the time of recording. You can get your name featured in videos, you get sneak peeks, early access, and much, much more. So check that out using the link in the description down below. And if you enjoyed this video here on YouTube, you'll love this one on the screen now. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one.